Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Second Guessing with Stress, and I'm your host Garrett Williams, aka Texans commenter. Yeah, man, it's I got a comment on IG. It says "Go f yourself" from Timmy. Appreciate that, Timmy. Likewise, you can go f yourself too, buddy. That's pretty funny, but yeah, I mean, obviously, it's tough. I try and do these shows on Wednesday or Monday or Tuesday. I'm gonna try and start doing the recap sooner, depending on when the game is, but you hate to, especially when it's a tough loss, to fester on it and have it several days later. But I will say, like, I've already gone through the grieving process of the loss. So it's probably better that it is Wednesday and not Sunday or Monday at this moment. I probably would have been a little more unfiltered, like I was last week. Last week, I was almost more upset last week than I was this week in a weird way. Maybe the timing, but apologize for last week, the profanity. And I guess that I kind of got most of my frustrations out then. But over on IG, Anish Mega says, "Hey, stressing, been horrible past week for H-Town fans, been affecting me mentally too." And then Jacob says, "Nico about to go for 200 yards, 2 TDs after that Snead comment." I agree. Biddy on IG will be better moving forward. Yeah, and the thing that's tough too is Astros, man. Like, they'll be on, so y'all keep me updated, if anything happens. But Astros, bro, like get swept by the Mariners, lose to the A. Just like beaten down as a Houston fan. I'm like, whatever, bro. Like, you can't hurt me anymore. I'm already stressing. Like, I'm depressing. I'm like depressed. And obviously the Rockets, Fred Van Vliet tore his freaking ACL. Like, bro, like what is going on? But shout out the chat from YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. We got Brandon Halam, the OG. He says this is going to be painful. He's asking. No, like I said, I'm kind of mellowed out. So I mean, I've vented, and y'all know me. Like, I am probably one of the most positive people fans. Um, and I don't think it's because I'm delusional. Like, I'm convicted in what I believe, and maybe I watch too many interviews and analyze stuff too much and kind of drink the Kool-Aid too much in that. But like, y'all, if y'all followed me or listened to me for a while, the past couple years, like at least in this off season, like I had plans of what I thought we should do and what I would do, which is what we all do as fans, to approach the off season, and had concerns in that way, which we'll get into. And now they're showing where they are. So, but what I'm getting at is I was critical last week, and I was even more critical this week. So I hadn't been as critical because I believed in the plan, and I still believe in certain stuff. But from what we've seen, like mostly Casario is kind of the biggest thing. And I try to like not have to criticize somebody or a player, coach, GM, whatever, unless it's worthy. And even then, I kind of give them grace. But now it's like 0-3. It's like, all right, like I'm gonna say it all, bro. Like, I mean, what I'm saying is nothing compared to what most fans are saying. So, shout out Benji G on Facebook. Get Casario Patriot BS out of here. Yep. I used to think, and I apologize to fans that maybe are the more negative fans, and if I ever brush you off and act like you're being outlandish. A lot of the stuff that have been raised by a lot of fans kind of looking like they might be true, like the Patriots narrative. I always thought that might have kind of been overblown, but you look at Nick Kelly, the hire. He's John Carroll is really the crux of this. It's like this small university where all these people come from to be football savants or whatever, and they just hire each other. That's where Kaylee's from, and it's also Patriots. So it's like you start to question things now. Like, okay, like yeah, D'Amico hired him, but like, did he, or was he like influenced, persuaded by Casario? And I'm not out on Kaylee yet. I was hoping to see a lot of stuff this week, but we'll dive into it. But I mean, it's currently not good. He has to prove some stuff. And John says, "Smile through those tears, man." Yeah, I've already passed the tears. They're dried out. So, Lance Shepard, G, what's good? 0-3 looks so nasty. What up, Lance? Yeah, I agree, man. Dot says, "Stressing on X." And then Rich Boy J, shout out Rich Boy. I definitely needed this. Hey, I got you, man. I'll try, and this can be therapy. I'll eventually arrive at. I'll start with criticism, review the game, the bad, the bad, the bad, the bad, the bad, and go with the good, and try and get us leaving on a good note. I've already started to come around mentally personally myself, positive wise, forward thinking. And Texans swarm expectations for Sunday. And so like it's tough, last year I would do this show and I would do a recap and a preview, but I want to start doing them separate. So I did just my recap last week and had every intention to do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, try and do a preview and never did. I'm glad I didn't because I'm probably would have been up here talking a bunch of mess, how we're going to whoop the Jags. And I would have looked like an idiot because we didn't whoop them. We got beat. So, but I'll try and cover the expectation of the Titans, but we should win, and it should be a slump buster for us, is what it should be. I just thought about that, but yeah, the Titans should be a slump buster. Brian Perez on Facebook, what y'all think? Petrie at safety and Ward at nickel, or Ward at safety and keep Petrie at nickel. Ward at safety when he's back for sure. MJ Stewart in the meantime at strong safety. Austin D'Souza on YouTube. Is there still hope for us? Yes. We'll get there, but yes, there is still hope. It's 0-3. It's terrible. It's terrible. First two losses, NFC teams, playoff teams. Third loss, Jaguars, divisional opponent. And you know what sucked too is where I started to feel weird about it was we have all these trends. Like against the Bucks, it was like, our record against the Bucks is like 5-1, and like all these stats against them and they're bad on prime time. It's like all these trends were like lining up to revert the other way, and that happened against Tampa. And then the Jags, all these trends. CJ against the AFC South, only one loss. We've had 7, 8, 9 consecutive wins on the road in the division, and so many in a row at Jacksonville. It was like you just knew. I had a weird feeling about it. So Texan Swarm says it is a results-driven business at the end of the day, for better or worse. I agree. Facts. Des says we need a win on Sunday. I'm sorry, I'm out of excuses. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if we win Sunday, it's over. But luckily for us, the Titans seem like a team that, while they're young and trying, and they got Cam Ward, who I'm very high on from Incarnate Word. Big fan of his, but I'll be rooting against him heavily Sunday. But they're probably still trying to tank. I mean, at this point, they're kind of a dumpster fire. Brian Callahan, who seemingly was a good offensive mind, but never called plays, so forced himself into calling plays and tried to do too much, too often, too soon. And now he's relinquished the plays for the first time, so that could be a boost to them. Maybe not, but they had Tavondre Sweat get hurt. And, they've been pretty bad overall as a team, even though they've had some close, I thought the Broncos game was close. But, we should handle business. Brandon says sometimes trading up for better players is better than trading back for more players. So, yeah, he's talking about Caserio. That's another part of him that I've been really, focusing on. And what we can do, too, is I wrote my article. We can kind of go through that. That kind of has a lot of the talking points that we'll have recapping the game and this stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's a critique, and that was like my plan for the draft was like, let's trade up. Like we just traded Laramie Tunsil. We got extra draft capital. We have needs, which Caserio does not believe in. And it's like, I've started to come around on him. Like I'm guilty of like the fan that, he can't do any wrong and every move he makes is just the best move ever. And now I'm like, man, like, no, you look back and like a lot of stuff he does is like kind of it's because he's like a smooth talker in a sense, a lot of word salad, but like he's like that really nerdy. He's too pragmatic. He's too, by this process. Like this is football. Like this isn't like a software program where you just stick to this formula no matter what. Like building a roster in football is not like running a Fortune 500 company with bottom line and I'm only getting this player at this value. I won't overpay a penny for anybody. Like you can't help but think that his whole mentality is like overdone to hell, man. Like when I wrote my article, okay, the draft, or first the O-line. Okay, we trade Laramie. I didn't get it. And then I got, okay, the money, the salary makes sense. And if you want to argue culture, fine too. That can be thrown in there. But okay, now what's your plan after? You assume they did that with a plan or like a thought of what to do after. But they just did it, and then he just winged it. And then he didn't really have a plan and didn't do anything. That's what's terrible. Like, I'm fine with the trade. I'm not fine with the plan or lack thereof of a plan after the fact of not replacing. And honestly, there was multiple ways he could have gone about it. He could have found another left tackle, which we got Ursary, but still, like, we're putting too much onus on him to be great now. It's not fair to him. And now we're 0-3. It's even 1,000x. We're like asking him to basically fix almost all of our issues. But the process he did with that is like reckless, like because you're so worried, and it's kind of arrogant and cocky too. Like I guess you're so confident in like your ability to find these deals, and then you kind of like put the onus on the coaching, like figure it out. Like here, I got other players here because and I pulled up his old pressers after the draft. He got criticized, and like him and D'Amico are tired of getting asked questions about the O line. Well, guess what? People are asking you about the O line for a reason, and look what happened right now. It looks terrible. So obviously they were asking for a reason. So like that part really irked me with D'Amico and Nick. Getting upset with media, who's an extension of fans, asking legitimate questions. Some may be pushy or redundant, but like, dude, like you can't get mad at it because they're legitimate questions, and now they're vindicated. So that is very frustrating. But yeah, I mean, like when you traded LT, like to me, my thought process was okay, going forward last year, if you just use simple logic, in my opinion, on certain things, you can arrive at a good solution. So we all know we're not dumb. What was the worst part of our whole team last year? Our O line. Okay. What part of the O line was the worst? The interior O line. We had Shaq Mason and Kenyon Green, who were two of, if not the two worst interior alignment in the entire league on the same team. And we noticed we all obviously we already know this, but it was even more known after watching it last year play out that interior pressure is much more detrimental than exterior pressure. Okay, so you trade Tunsil, okay, Pro Bowler, okay, you have a drop off there, but now you got money freed up by offloading that contract, so you got assets there or capital there, and then you got draft picks. Okay, now if the overall philosophy is a better front five, use that to now invest in the interior. We passed on all these guys on the interior. A lot of veteran names that really didn't go for much, 10, 11, 12 million. Nah, we're good. We'll get Laken Tomlinson and Ed Ingram. We'll bargain barrel shop on these two guys and really say that it was coaching and scheme. And then even then, like tackle, you get K. Robinson, you pay him 12 million, and he's not even playing. He's not even playing, dude. Like, what are we doing? I get that he got beat out, and I was like, hey, you get beat out, but now it looks even worse. Like it's more so about like what you could have done. And then even then, okay, free agency, fine. Now let's go in the draft. You can still draft, early. And like Brandon said, you sit there at 25, 26, whatever it was, and you just sit there and wait. And I get that, you hear their side of it and no one wanted to trade, but like to me, there's always a price. And the thing is Caserio will never, in his mind, overspend. He's always looking for an extreme deal. But we had to pay up for CJ and Will, and it worked out when that whole deal. I guess it was Will, but the whole 2 and 3 pick. But point being is like my approach going into the draft was like, we need to be hyper aggressive. We are in win now mode. And you know what happened? He managed the draft like we're in rebuild mode. He was just stacking picks, trade back, trade back, trade back. And then BPA, 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 like pass this need, pass that need, pass. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, the rookie window is a real thing. We're going to have to pay CJ soon. And rather than address these immediate issues to give you a legit chance to win now, he treated it like we're not in that win now mode, but we are. And like what he did is hurting us. It could change, but currently right now, 0-3, and most of it is because the O-line is dog shit. And it's because of his reckless gamble and confidence and arrogance into, I can fix this with this super value approach and not overspend. And I get maybe too, his mindset was like, well, I overspent before and it still sucked. I mean, maybe it's more to it than that, but like, you see guys like Donovan Jackson getting picked a pick before us. You tell me you couldn't have traded up 1 pick or 2 picks and gotten him, or Gray Zabel at 19. You couldn't have traded up the pick you got from trading Tunsil and upgraded with something like that. Or even other tackles. I mean, there's a lot of options. Josh Simmons, you could have gotten him. Instead, you trade back. And then not only then, you trade back and get a receiver. And guess what? You get a receiver who's good. I love him. But one is he's a receiver that it's redundant. You get an X receiver. You already have the premier X receiver in the league, and you go draft another one. And I'm not saying Jaden Higgins isn't good. He's a freak. I love him, and that he can or won't be good and won't fit. But like the mindset, the logic, me, the analytical guys, like you don't need an X receiver. We need a Z receiver. We need someone to replace Tank Dell's skill set. I preached this, and then I felt like I was an idiot because he went a different way. But I realized just because Caserio went a different way doesn't mean I was wrong. That's just the way he did it. And now it turns out as maybe the way he did it doesn't work. Maybe he's wrong, But like early on, the first 3 games, receivers aren't getting open because all we have is freaking X receivers. We have 4'6'4", 220 receivers. And Nico is the most athletic wiggle wise, but they're not by nature. Every person, no matter who you are, but specifically receiver, NFL position, your makeup, your body type, your frame, you have limitations. You have strengths and weaknesses based off the way God built you. And those guys are more straight line, physical, possession guys. That's just the nature of it. And then obviously shorter, quick guys are slot guys. And then Z's are the hybrid between the big and the short, and they're kind of both. That's what Tank Dell is, the other outside receiver. And we miss him. We needed to replace him, and we didn't replace him with like kind. We went BPA. Oh, this guy's our grade, and off his grades. And so he was, asked about needs. He's like, honest to God, I don't know what a need is. Like, come on, like arrogant, like unnecessarily arrogant and defensive answers about it. Like being like an asshole to the media for asking basic, very justified questions. And so like you go back and watch, you're like, man, like this is smug. And then, there was a video of him at the season ticket holder thing, asked about O-line. He's like, oh, we're not worried about O-line. Like irritated that the fans are asking about it. Like we're freaking idiots. Like we don't know what we're talking about. Hey, looks like we know what we're talking about. It's pretty common sense stuff. So, post LT trade, he could have done multiple things. And then, so yeah, you take a receiver and then you get obviously Ariante Ursary. Okay, cool. Great. We got a left tackle. But for me, it's like when I look at the draft, I was like, you signed Cam Robinson, Trent Brown, you have Titus, you have Blake Fisher. We already had 4 tackles. I didn't want to get a tackle early on. I wanted to get a guard. A guard is what we need. And who knows, it may pan out. Ed Ingram has looked good and then not looked good. He's, good at pass pro or good at run blocking, not great at pass pro, but like it changes week to week. Laken Tomlinson was struggling, and thank goodness D'Amico, we'll talk about that, benched him for Juice Scruggs. We talked about on here the sense of urgency. Laken struggling. I always said like something to monitor, like how soon will D'Amico pull the trigger this year, whereas last year he was late to do it with Kenyon Green. He kind of waited too long. I think he's learned his lesson now as a defensive-minded head coach, where he needs to, when he sees something, not put 100% trust in his OC to make the right decision personnel-wise. So he intervened and put Juice Scruggs in, and Juice Scruggs played well. So that's great. Keep that going. So it could work out where Juice Scruggs and Ingram are the 2 guards, but now we really don't have much depth. I mean, Laken, maybe he can be more consistent, but it's just frustrating. Like, again, it could all work out. And then, you watch all these games, you look at all the grades. I'll go through my timeline later, but like Gray Zabel, you got Tate Ratledge. I believe he went in the 3rd. He's on the Lions on Monday night, just freaking mowing down the Ravens defensive front. A guy we passed on multiple times, a direct need. We need a guard. Here's a guard right here. Great value, really good. Nah, his grade isn't, look at this fucking spreadsheet with like numbers. It's probably like decimals. It's just like a super penny pitching mindset. Like, bro, like at a certain point, you have to overspend a little bit to address what you need on your team. Like, get rid of this process and bullshit, dude. Like, just have a feel for it. Like, what are we like? That's what pisses me off. So thanks, Brandon, for getting me on that tangent. That's a big one there with Caserio. And so, I am starting to be more critical of him. And then CJ Gardner-Johnson, he got cut. We'll talk about that real quick. You heard reports from various reporters, DJ Bieneme, Aaron Wilson. Aaron Wilson kind of first reported that he was like unhappy with his role. He wanted to blitz more. And then in his article, he said like he was unhappy about other players getting paid more, which sounds like Jalen Petrie, because it sounds like he wanted to play that star safety linebacker role that Petrie plays from everything he's saying. And then, supposedly he's just, bad in the locker room. Like, I mean, I don't know what all else there is and what's true and what's not, but definitely there was some off the field stuff. But, I'm an idiot, fell for like, oh, we got CJ Gardner-Johnson. Well, I guess in hindsight, like previous, you couldn't really expected it to play out this way. But, basically, I believe his contract that we assume was like roughly $9 million. And we offloaded Kenyon $1 million. So like net $8 million is now what we have. And then they restructured him. So now we basically, over 2 years, have about $8 million in dead cap for 4 games. And so there's a guy on Twitter who's pretty smart who said that shout out Huncho Johnny on IG, who said that uh, a philosophy is he thinks that they went into this knowing that he would be a stopgap and that the restructure signaled that so they could spread the hit over 2 years. But to me, for until Jimmy Ward got back, but for me, it's like you don't spend $8 million over 2 years, which essentially is just 1 year, because you don't spend $8 million for 4 games. I mean, 3 games, and honestly, you don't know you're going to cut them that soon. But you also have to know if that was your approach, the type of guy CJ Gardner Johnson is. Nothing wrong with that. Like he's, you could kind of relate him to Stephon Diggs in the sense that they're like ultra competitive and passionate, outspoken, somewhat of a gamble for a team taking you in. You got to have good culture coming in. But you can't bring that guy in who gets bounced around, because when he's upset about his role, he'll make it known. Like most players might adjust or take it, but like he's going to do what he wants, whether it's right or wrong. But you can't have the mindset of bringing him in to be a backup. That wouldn't happen. Like you got to know, if that was your plan, which I don't think it was, that he would want to leave, which is what happened. And part of it too was maybe his role was going to be reduced because he was busting coverages. That was what DJ Bieneme pointed out. There was 3 examples, all 3 touchdowns, and we lost each game by a score. You wonder, if he wasn't there on the team or making these busted coverages, do we win those games? I mean, I know it's excuse and out there, but you have to consider that. But first one, Rams, in the red zone to start the third quarter, he, takes the wrong coverage and bites down on the flat when he's supposed to be in the tight end, wide open for a touchdown. Kamari bails him out and looks out and, doesn't bail him out. He goes and covers him because he has to and tries to. Looks at him like, what the heck? And then Kamari on PFF gets hit for it. Like he had a bad play. Week 2, Tampa Bay, first touchdown on the over route to the receiver or tight end. He's either 2 or cover 4. He's the high safety. And I saw this on film, and I didn't want to because he follows me and reposts, and I respect him and don't ever want to beef with players, but I didn't want to be critical and post this or make a comment, but I noticed he's way too aggressive. On that one, he's in the high safety. You can't let anyone get behind you. He's here, and Kalen Bullock's here, and the receiver comes from Kalen Bullock's side and runs an over across. But once he passes Kalen Bullock right here, he's now your responsibility. But CD just, as he's coming, just jumps this dig or curl, and now Bullock's having to trail and follow him from his, half to now CD's half, and he can't do it because he's behind him. So that was part of it. And I noticed he was just robbing, he was just an ultra aggressive player. So supposedly part of it is he came from more of a man scheme with Fangio, is what someone said, which I don't know if that's true. To where now it's different with D'Amico. So that could be part of it. And then the third one was the play with the Jags with Brian Thomas Jr. on third down, which is basically the game winner. It was man coverage, but it was match, or I always knew it as banjo. So he's in the middle, and Kamari again's on the outside, but basically they're both man to man. But basically, they say, hey, if my guy goes in, then you take him, and out, vice versa. So it's a zone, it's man, but kind of like a zone principle. So basically, you're not having to run from here all the way across. Hey, so basically, Kamari's guy went in. And then CD's guy went out. So Kamari's guy, BTJ, went in. So CD should have taken him. And then CD's guy went out. Kamari would have taken him, which is what he did. But then he saw he didn't get BTJ. So then he ran. It looks like Kamari got beat. And when he's done, he throws his hands up what the hell, bro? So that's 3 plays right there. But you have to question that move by Caserio. You could have just cut Kenyon Green and been fine. Which I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to really criticize him for that. But in the end, that's what happened. I guess that was the risk reward. And you have Jimmy coming back. It's just tough. I mean, that one failed. So let me get some comments here. I've been on my little diatribe. Des, we need to win on Sunday. I'm sorry, my excuses, facts. Lance says, even with it being 0-3, I feel like we can right the ship. My reason for saying that is because I believe in D'Amico. I agree 100%. Nah, Shaheed, can Sunday's game come quick enough? Hate being down 0-3. Facts. We need that slump buster. We lose. The Titans get out the pitchforks. Oh, big time. For sure. Ryan Lunsford on X. How many points does the offense need this weekend to rebuild that trust? We just need a win, really. but I want to see some good stuff. And I saw them moving the ball pretty well late in that Jags game. We just had 3 turnovers in their end of the field. And we'll talk about it, but tempo, 2-minute drill. We did it late in that game, and it fucking worked. No way. Who would have thought? The one thing that CJ Stroud is best at, that he did really well and ran in an offense at Ohio State, up tempo, spread type offense that got him drafted number 2 by you, is what he's good at. Who would have thought that? And then in the NFL, you run a 2-minute drill twice a game. Fucking kills it. Why is he good at that? I don't know. Well, let's fucking keep running it. No shit, We started to do it then. D'Amico talked about it with Mark Vandermeer and John Harris. Like, yeah, we need to lean into that more. Thank you. I love that he said it. Too little, too late, but I'll take what I can get. I'm going to get a quick sip of water right here. But shout out to guys on IG. We got Jonathan Alexander, 47. What do you think we do? Do we bring in a free agent like Simmons, or we run it back with Murray and Ward? Murray's gone, but MJ Stewart and then Ward, I suspect he'll be back after the 4 weeks. If I missed any more on IG, Humberto, shout out Humberto. Zach Mack, that's my guy. Backline Dwan, I wasn't fine with the trade at all, but it is what it is. Let me scroll down just to get a couple more, and I'll get to the main comments. Ledesma says fire Kaylee and get Doug Peterson. I wanted Doug Peterson. I wanted Nick Kaylee. Not Nick Kaylee. I had him like third. I wanted Chip Kelly and Doug Peterson. Those were my 2, like, spread it out, innovative offense. It's Kata says, for real, they need a run game, need Mixon back healthy. I agree. Hot sauce, how bad would it be for this team if CJ gets hurt and Davis ends up balling out in a close loss versus the Titans? That's crazy to even say, but I think Davis would do good. Huncho, relieve me of some of these contracts. Trent Brown, Danico Autry, and what did we do with Toa Toa? Yeah, I mean, Toa Toa is still on his rookie deal. But yeah, there's been some questionable moves by Casero. Like now I've taken off the rose-colored glasses. Like, what? I'm actually like going to sit there and analyze what he does. Like, okay, maybe it's not as great as it seems. Brandon says we keep breaking really terrible stats and trends. Facts. We need like a bad trend to go up against. Black Magic. I hope the Texans start balling on offense again. Only time I see him balling is when I use him on Madden. LOL. Yeah, you're good, OC. Albert on Facebook. Petrie as safety. Ward as nickel. I don't like that. Nah. Ward can be a good nickel, but I think Ward is a good safety. And, this was a concern too, is like I noticed this when watching film, but like early on the first couple of weeks, Bullock obviously is a great talent, and he didn't start the whole year last year. And it's for a reason, because he's young and you're a free safety in this defense, communicating and, disguising. And so now he's like a full-time starter for the first time, but then you pair a new running mate next to him at strong safety. And so there was some disconnect there right now. And now you got a guy there that's like new and he's doing stuff wrong, and he's an older guy. He's a veteran. You can't really say shit to him or he'll fucking snap on you. So like, that's a weird dynamic. And now you're just like, what do I do, coach? And then, so I think, getting MJ Stewart, we talked about this, and the good silver lining too is CJ Garner-Johnson. He was also hurt, so he missed time. Not only was he in a new system, but he missed time leading up to week 1. But on the flip side, now that he's gone and MJ Stewart steps in, he's already gotten reps most recently, played in preseason, has played for us there prior. He's been on the team for a while. He's been here for every year at D'Amico. He's a guy that D'Amico can trust at that safety spot. And so now he will also help Kalen Bullock. They can kind of communicate and be on the same page. So I feel good about that. And Black Magic says we definitely can't lose to the Titans. If we do, it's a wrap. Facts. HTX Jacob, we have no choice. We got to win. If we lose to the Titans, we might as well. Yeah, I'm not even entertaining it. Like, yeah, I mean, it's obvious. If we lose, it's done. If we win, get some momentum, going to Baltimore, who knows? Baltimore, their defense is dog shit. It's one of the worst in the league. So, I mean, there is the element, too, of like, okay, our offense obviously sucks. It's like one of the worst, if not the worst in the league. But it is early in the year. And, we only can go off what we've seen. It's only 3 weeks, small sample size, but we don't know the teams we played and how good those defenses are. I believe and suspect the Rams are a really good defense. I think the Bucs are better than what most people think defensively. And then honestly, the Jaguars, I think they have a pretty good defense. I want to say like EPA wise, I had a tweet. They're like number 2 or 3, and then the Rams are 5. So, I mean, I think the Jags have a good defense. I mean, that's not to say our offense also doesn't suck, but you can also say, too, in those 3 weeks, those three teams, their stats or numbers are good because they played us. I acknowledge that. I'm just saying, hopefully, that's the case. Is we look back and like, oh yeah, we had a rough schedule to start. And honestly, the first two games to me were tough. I feel like this stretch, Titans good, Ravens tough, obviously, but after that, it kind of evens out. That's where we're going to make our bread. That's kind of how I had us going. So, Rich Boy Jay, would dominating the Titans make a big difference in your opinion on this team? Yeah, I mean, I've learned as a fan though to I'm obviously like drink the Kool-Aid, get on board. I probably will if they blow them out, like get fully back on board. But like, it's a quote that I had an old coach say and that D'Amico has said. It's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. Reality is what lies in between. So that's true for right now. Like it seems like it's the worst thing in the world. Not excuses. I'm not D'Amico, but we did lose 3 one-score games that we could have won in all 3 of them. So it's not as bad as it seems, even though we are 0-3. If we blow out the Titans 42-0, we may feel like we're so back, but maybe it's not as good as we think. So, but that's we're fans. That's what we do, man. Brandon Dudley, we need a seasoned OC. These rookie OC play callers don't work. So that's another point too. Like if you're gonna give the optimism angle, is hey, it does take time. New system. I have seen some things throughout the first 3 weeks that are good. Things that were different. And honestly, too, the O line. I feel like we've been, and I guess it kind of happened last year, but like, and I'm guilty of this too, and putting too much of the blame fully on them. I think the O line overall is not terrible. Obviously, Ursery got worked by Josh Hines Allen, which everybody does. So that's where I'm upset with is like, you put a rookie left tackle in his second game starting left tackle against Josh Hines Allen is a very underrated edge rusher. And you don't give him any help. Like maybe a couple times here and there, but like give the guy some help. Like do a double team with the left guard or at least chip with the tight end or a running back, especially the last play of the game where CJ Stroud is throwing, I don't like the play call. It was 4 verticals on the 30 with 27 seconds left in a timeout, and you call 4 verticals and it's a 2-man look. And then the only underneath route you have is a running back leak, which is late. So, but you basically have Ursery one-on-one with that guy in that situation who wrecked you all game. And of course he tips the ball and it gets picked. So, but my point is on the O-line, I don't think it is as bad as we or many people think O-line. A lot of the issues on pass pro is the fucking running backs. And what's crazy is Dari was our scapegoat. He had a terrible, terrible fucking game last week against the Bucks. And D'Amico, to his credit, is growing and seeing stuff and intervening much sooner because he knows the urgency because they're fucking 0-3 now. They were 0-2 before that. But he said on third down, Chubb's been doing good. We need to put Chubb in more on third down. Guess what? They did. Dari played 0 fucking snaps. So that's a great sign of progress for me from D'Amico. But the problem is the 2 guys that we thought should get more third down snaps pass pro, Chubb and Woody, they also did terrible at pass pro. And so a lot of that's being conflated on the O-line. And then also, too, tight end is a big factor in that. Dalton Schultz, believe it or not, had a good pass pro game. This is, I've watched the film as obviously all 22, but also PFF. We can look at the grades, but on PFF too, like, obviously, again, not end all be all, but it kind of matches up. Like the grades kind of match up with what I saw there. So something to keep in mind there is it's not just the O line. So again, I don't know if it's running backs. Like, I mean, at a certain point, do you start to question position coaches? Like as the running back coach, like if we continually to have running back mishaps in pass pro last year, this year, because last year Dari wasn't great at pass pro, and I don't think Mixon was the best either. Are we not coaching it good enough there? And then receiver too. Like I've seen through the first 3 weeks, we came on here and the hope was Christian Kirk's back. Let's fucking go. We got the 713 shirt here. I'm embarrassed to even wear this because the connection sucks right now. But there was optimism from me, maybe others. A lot of people were cautious that like, hey, he could unlock this offense because I talked about having 4X receivers. Now we have a true slot receiver. But his impact was bad. Like Christian Kirk to me did not look good. Again, excuse side, if you want to like kind of frame it as a certain way, coming off a hamstring injury. So maybe he wasn't quite 100% trusting the hammy, hadn't practiced in 2-3 weeks. So kind of rusty, timing a little bit off. But like little details that he did popped out to me that made CJ look bad. First one was the pick in their end. It wasn't a great throw, I'll say that. But basically, it was like a flood it was a scissors concept. It was a post on the outside, and it was a slot receiver that ran. It was Dalton who just jogged a route. He ran like a out and then a return, and then the middle slot was Kirk, and he ran a corner. So scissors is a scissor me timbers is a post and a corner, and basically the post goes and the corner is supposed to cut right off of that. So basically you're making like a natural downfield mesh or a conflict for defenders. And it was cover 3. So that means the corner on the outside had the deep third and there was a post on it. And he went with the post. And so that means Kirk should come cut right under that and be wide open. But the problem was when Kirk released, I should just be showing all the clip. But anyways, if y'all don't like this or can't follow along, sorry. If you're listening on the podcast later, hopefully I can, help you visualize this. But Kirk, the third inside slot, the problem was, he's supposed to run a corner and go upfield underneath the post about 10, 15 yards downfield was like where he's supposed to finish. But a safety had walked down to play the robber, so they rotated, like they showed a too high look and the strong safety over the trips look came down. And then the other safety went to the cover 3 in the middle, had the deep third. And then when that safety came down, he impacted Kirk. Like he saw him come down. So then he just widened way outside of him. And you could tell he kind of got flustered by it. And then just instead of doing the corner up here, he kind of broke it off real quick flat. And so now, it's a high-low. You have Dalton Schultz on the little out route and then the corner over the top. But one, Schultz jogged his route, very unconvincing. So the corner, Jordan Lewis, already kind of leaking off of that. Like, okay, like this isn't a threat. And then the corner is closer down to him, which allowed him to jump back and get it. Again, the ball was kind of soft and like too much touch. But CJ could have like thrown him more upfield, but it probably would have been incomplete. But Kirk, if he just runs the route high, he can throw it right on you and maybe be a touchdown. Or worst case, if CJ gets worried about it, he can underthrow you a little bit and you can come back downhill. So there was like example of that. There was another one where his, the releases weren't great. Like a lot of the receivers on the releases, especially inside against safeties and backers, were just getting bullied, dude. Like, they'd be running a route. You start here and you want to finish here, but then they would have a guy press them and they would get 4 or 5 yards out here. And so instead of being here, you're now here. You throw off the entire timing. And so now your route is sped up or slowed down, depending on if you go 4 or 5 yards away from your original landmark. And that's what we talked about with the Bucs, like running through zone. Nico had a dig, got pushed 5 yards inside, then ran the dig. There's no window because he compressed his route from his release. And then on top of that, guys aren't, throttling in the zone. So I noticed a lot of that with Kirk. Like Rusty, he's a veteran guy. He should have these little details down. And then the other one too was, with like 20, 30 seconds left or before the pick, there was a shot where we had, him and an outside receiver, and he was a slot receiver, ran a slot fade. So he basically went like this and ran like a go. And a slot fade is great because now you have all this room to work with. So it's a vertical route, but the slot guy runs outside. And he had the guy beat. And what Kirk did was textbook technique was once he beat his defender, he ran out here, he beat him, he stacked him, he got on top. So when you beat a defender, you stack them instead of like beating the guy and just like staying out here. Now the guy can come back and catch up. You get back on top, and now that way you have a two-way go. So the guy's trailing you, he doesn't know which way you're going. So now you get back on top, you can go left or right, in or out. But the problem is he did that and he like did it too much. And then as the ball was thrown out here, and it was cover 1, so a safety was right there. And CJ, I thought was a great ball. People are blaming him. Threw the ball out away from the safety towards the sidelines, but Kirk had gone too far inside, and by the time he saw it, he couldn't get back to it. So the stack may have been fine, but too aggressive. But he needed to have the ball skills to go back out to the sideline. Again, maybe if he was healthy and had a hamstring healthy enough, he could have went and gone for it. So there's stuff like that. So I know there's fans that if people like me say CJ Stroud isn't the problem, but I still acknowledge he needs to play better and there's stuff here and there. And then on top of that, a lot of the problems that he does have or issues are a result of this mess of play calling, predictive play calling, terrible route concepts, multiple guys running in the same window, which honestly, some of it is the play calling, but some of it is just the fucking receivers not doing their fucking job. Like the receivers are getting pressed into each other. And so like the receiver, we look at the routes and we want to blame the OC right away. But sometimes it's the player. Like, and a lot of it that I'm seeing is like some of it is, but like my problem is the play calling is predictable. Kaylee did do better going into the game. We ran the ball more than any team and did no play action. And so I tweeted right before the game, run play action. Boom, first 2 plays, play action, play action. Perfect, awesome. The problem on some of that too is he's running play action on wide zones, and we don't fucking run wide zones. So it's not really a threat. Like if you haven't shown a wide zone look and now you run multiple play actions off of it, I get you have to run a wide zone to now get the boot rollout fake, but also teams know when you do that, it's a pass and they cheat it. But he did run some play action like off up the middle concepts like inside zone or split zone or duo. But yeah, so there's a lot of factors that go into it. You know, CJ's down the list for me. And then obviously the pressures, O-line, and again, like we mentioned, running backs, tight ends, liable for that too. You know, and Kaylee was running max protect concepts, which means, you know, there were times that we had 2 guys on the route, which means that we had 8 guys blocking 4. 8 guys blocking 4, and they would still get to CJ within under 3 seconds. 8 guys blocking 4, and they would still get a pressure. And then the 2 guys running the routes would not get open because they're fucking 20, 30 yards downfield, and they're running into a coverage. And it's like, what the fuck are you supposed to do? You know, like, and the big problem too for me with Kaylee is we're terrible because of third down. And, you know, the narrative week 1 is, oh, it's the same as last year. It's fucking third and long all the time. Okay, like, yeah, I agree. It's hard to convert on third and long. Oh, because of penalties on third and long. We just got to stop the penalties. Guess what? Week 2, you fucking cut down the penalties and you get a lot of third and mediums and third and shorts. But what do? You fucking take a deep shot anytime you get a chance. And whether that's, I think it starts with the OC, it's like a mindset. There is some onus on CJ Stroud having the awareness too. Even if the play call sucks, hey, get the first down. Like if you know as an offense against the Bucs for 2 for 8, you can't stay on the field. It's constantly three and outs. You're wearing out your defense. They almost had 2-to-1 ratio of time of possession and like plays on offense to our plays on offense. Then have awareness of like, we need to sustain a drive. Like don't even think about scoring yet. You haven't even earned that right. You need to figure out about taking the first couple steps, and then you can think about taking the fucking giant jump. And so that's what happened is early on, we get into a second short, third and short. Rather than get the first down, we go for the fucking home run. Like, no, like take the first down. You know, like the route, the way it's drawn up, it's like second and short, third and short multiple times in the game. And the first option CJ had to throw to was 20, 30 yards downfield. So it's like, come on, man. Like, and he could take the onus on him to like take off and run, especially if it's like a 2-man look where the QB's unaccounted for. But like that needs to be conveyed to him. And like the philosophy, like you got to have the awareness, like, and it kind of goes with everything. Like if you start to be aware of that and take and design, just run mesh, run 2 little crossers at 3 to 5 yards. Works against man and zone. If it's man, you'll have a pick, one will be open. If it's zone, they'll stop and sit down. Give him some quick, easy answers on third down or the running back. Like even just say, hey, throw it to this guy no matter what. Like do some things to start converting these third and shorts. And now when you do, then you can start taking the deep shot because you got them kind of backing off a little bit. So that's a big part of it for me is the awareness on that. Kind of just going all over the place like I normally do. It's been 45 minutes and I have no script. I'm kind of just going off all the thoughts in my head. It's kind of interacting, but that's a big thing for me is, you know, and Kaylee's a first time play caller. The situational awareness is not great, but I do think he improved in the second half overall. But again, the last play I didn't like. We went for the jugular, and we should have just gotten the first down. But yeah, let me go through some comments. Yeah, no plan for O-line, says Black Magic. Texans swarm. Do you think we get to the bye at 2-3? I've been talking myself into it, man, because Titans, we should take care of business. Ravens, our defense is elite. We saw the Lions get 7-8 sacks against Lamar. And I think all we got to do is fucking watch that film. And they had a spy on him a lot. They kind of, and that to me was like, if you watch that, the Lions had like 1 sack in the first half, and they had like 6 or 7 in the second half. And once that started happening, Lamar Jackson looked like a completely different quarterback. And that just goes to show that any quarterback under pressure looks like dog shit. And so, like, now, people make excuses for Lamar, I'm sure, like, oh, he was under pressure. Like, that's CJ Stroud every fucking game of his career since the second year. But we're just going to say he sucks now? Like, it's the same, like, you can't have it both ways. So it's a good reminder to watch those games and be like, no one can survive in these elements. And I apologize on Instagram if I'm not getting to you comments in here. I wish I could just read them all simultaneously, but it's hard when I get on a little diatribe. I tried not to cuss. I got animated there with the offense. Well, Casario got me worked up first, but and then Brandon says Jags ref always sell us. Don't forget the DB tackled Dell last year and the ball hit on the DB. Yeah, and then that Stingley PI in the end zone was kind of sus. There was a missed field goal by Kaimi that was massive. Our second drive, we go 3 and out, punt, get them pinned down on like the 1 or 2. They basically go 3 and out, get the ball back close to midfield. Offense gets 1 first down, attempt a 52-yard field goal, misses it. Next play, very next play, Kalen Bullock drops a pick, and then Trevor Lawrence makes a couple good throws. Him and Britton Strange made a couple good throws. They get down there, 3rd and 8, ticky-tack PI on Stingley and a ball that didn't even seem catchable. And Lawrence missed the wide-open BTJ inside of that. And then it's, 1st and goal from the 1, touchdown. So that was the only touchdown of the game. And, yeah, it just feels like, the penalties were early and often, and they kind of settled in. But the thing with us is, like, every penalty for us just seems to be detrimental. It's always a 3rd down on defense when you get a stop. It's always on offense when it's a 1st down or you're in the red zone, and now it kicks you out of field goal range. Like Titus Howard had, a false start or a couple. We had several false starts. They're just very inopportune penalties. And so I just remembered my other thought I started earlier was, they blame. So I was talking about, the excuses for the offense. It's being in 3rd and long. Okay. Next game, you get 3rd and short. I guess I finished that thought. But yeah, so yeah, I'm sorry. I finished that thought. Rich Boy Jay, I'm mad at myself for believing in this team when Casario dug in the bargain bin for the O-line. I agree, but I'm getting all this out. But Fitzmagic had a good video, and I agree. Like, we still play in the AFC South. Like, just think about that game. Think about how fucking terrible that game was. That was one of the worst fucking games I've watched in my life. It was fucking terrible. Our offense, dog shit, absolute dog shit. The Jags offense was way fucking worse. Like, they were committing all kinds of fucking penalties. They were having illegal man downfield, illegal motion, illegal procedure, every fucking thing in the book. Dropped 5 passes. Like, they were terrible. But we were we were worse. And I was already, just like the Bucks game, worked up to where if we had won the Bucks game, I was still going to be mad. Obviously, probably a couple of days later, I'd feel better, like when I kind of got over it all and like, okay, win's a win. But like, I was already walking away like, they deserve to lose kind of mindset. Like, fuck them. They don't need to win this game. And so same thing, the Jag game was like, we don't fucking deserve to win this game. Like, obviously I got excited when Nico had the big play and scored the touchdown, which people are calling a busted coverage. That was a double move. Like, we earned that. They didn't just fucking blow a coverage. The guy bit on a double move. So we earned that as easy as it looked. But my point being is I still was prepared to walk away fucking pissed off if we won the game, thinking we would find a way to win the game. It's the Jags. We're going to fucking beat them. And then we lose. I'm like, fuck, not only do we suck, but we lost. But my point ultimate endpoint on this is to Jaguars fans, they're acting like they won the fucking Super Bowl. Like, like we aren't fooled. Yeah, they won by 7, but we gave them a touchdown to get the ball back, which ironically we learned from last week against the Bucks, who did that to us. And so now I like that as D'Amico too. A sign of growth is he realized, okay, I got fooled last time. I'm going to do it to them and give myself a chance. And I know people say, well, why let them score, hold them to a field goal, get the ball back a little bit of time, but they could have ran a bunch of clock off and still scored a touchdown. And I like that he put the ball in CJ's hands. As bad as the offense was, they were moving the ball in the second half. They had, at that point, 2 turnovers in the red zone. The fumble by Nico, which was a fluke, which, by the way, he had hurt his wrist earlier. Was that a factor when he turned upfield? It was a great play by them. Like, that's just like a curse moment. And then the pick I mentioned, I mean, good play by them. Not a great route, not a great throw. But anyway, so that's the logic. Like, I like that move. So D'Amico learned from that. You got played on, them letting Chubb score against Tampa, and then they go down and win. So now BTJ has the big conversion where CD busts the coverage, and Kamari looks like he's the one responsible, but he's not. And so we let them run it in the next play, and now you have the whole thing to work with. So I thought that was the right decision. I know that's, debatable for some, but I forgot where I was going on the ultimate point on that. Oh, yeah. So, the game was terrible by both sides. It was close. We could have easily won that game. We didn't. Yeah, whatever. But like, if we would have won, I would have walked away like, we're still not fucking good. We got to fix shit. But obviously, you'll take the win. Jags fans like, oh, we're fucking 2-1. We're the best. We fucking beat y'all. Like, bro, like, no, like, you got it twisted, man. Like, so that's a different perspective from each fan base, I think. So, shout out Nosh. Brandon says, even if Texans slow down the Ravens defense, I don't see them scoring enough points. We'll see. I mean, I think they can muddy it up. That'll be a true test. Texan says, we got to stand together, y'all. Facts. And then Brandon says, long-term leadership on their line bothers him. Titus been doing good, but yeah, that's true. Javier Bentakur on YouTube. I'm still not happy about the release of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I mean, I trust him for it. He was busting coverages and was a locker room problem. Let's see what else we got. Texan Swarm, we should have kept Tunsil. Texan says we're 0-3, but if you take away CD's nuts, big plays, he got beat on. Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to get to some of these. I don't want to kind of be redundant here, so appreciate the comments. Keep them coming. Josh Williams on Facebook. Noel's a firecracker. He needs more opportunities. Facts. I mean, and so I'll touch on this point is, I've already alluded to some of these points, but to me, we're 0-3, but we are seeing some real growth out of D'Amico Ryans. I am personally. So, there's a lot of we speculate, but a lot of us think the same about him. Players coach, we all assume he's nice and doesn't hold guys accountable. You fucking cut CD, like, hey, I'm not, you're bad for our team, you're gone. So that's growth. He kind of already was good at that. We cut Deontay Johnson like that. But the big things is, us fans, obviously we're not in the building, but like we know some things. I mean, like our observations are pretty good. So it started out with week 1. Why is Dameon Pierce playing? Why is he returning kicks? He cost us points. When he ran the ball, he was bad. Pass pro, bad. And the next week, D'Amico saw it. And this is a guy that, we assumed he's loyal to and would give him reps to. Went on with Vandermeer and Harris, said, we need to give more reps to Chubb. And so then Pierce inactive next week. Awesome. And then we talked about same thing the following week. He says Chubb needs third down reps because Dare was bad at third down. Dare, 0 reps. Awesome. And then we talked about on here about, hey, Lakin looks bad. He needs to play Scruggs. Play Scruggs in week 3. Another, growth urgency thing. So, and then something else too, to end the Bucks game, it was that, they're on the 2-yard line with 9 seconds and a timeout, second down, third down, whatever it is. To me, as a fan, like, they're going to fucking run the ball right here. They come out in the formation and heavy personnel, and you call a timeout. You got to look. You go on the sideline and you think about it. and then you still play the pass. Linebackers off the ball, only 4 down linemen. You could have used 5. You could have run blitzed. Um, so it was an obvious run situation. The Bucks post game said it was an obvious run situation. We're going to run it twice. They also said, yeah, they were playing the pass, even though D'Amico said he wasn't playing the pass. They were playing the pass, but come out against the Jags. Now the Jags, similar to the Bucks, being with the Liam Cohen, McVay tree, all that stuff, similar concepts. They probably watched that tape. Hey, we're gonna fucking run the ball too. They just got destroyed by the Bucks. D'Amico came out, and when they came out in heavy personnel, he had a 5 down front. So that's growth. Like, he realized he should have done it there, didn't do it. Okay, now I'm going to do it this week. That's a great positive sign. So there's several things. I've been ranting. I'm trying to figure out my last point. I think I had alluded to it, but there's a lot of stuff where you see him, one is he has more urgency. He's, bucking the notion of him being loyal. He wants to win now. And so that is the small silver lining of being 0-3. And then the other thing too I've liked about him that I noticed is, he can be kind of come off kind of arrogant at press conferences. I guess this doesn't fucking matter, but as a fan, it irks you. When you see him get asked a question and he gets pissed off, like, why are you asking why the O-line sucks? He was like, getting tired of it and basically like, we'll see. And if y'all are like me and y'all watch a lot of them, you can kind of see like certain moves or like, him reacting a certain way, which I get. Like, I can't sit there and act like I wouldn't do the same thing but anyways, like, I feel like he was humbled, the week before, DJ Bieniemy asked him, how do you climb out of this 0-2 hole? There's no hole. What do you mean? No, like, it seemed very defensive. Like, he was upset that they were like just stating something that was obvious. Like, yeah, you're in an 0-2 hole. Like, obviously there were 2 close games, but reality is you're in an 0-2 hole. Like, it's not like I'm talking shit to you, but my point being was that presser on that Monday, there was like the most down to earth, people asking the same kind of questions. It was almost like a healing moment where he realized like, okay, maybe I was like fucking tripping on some of this shit. And when y'all ask me these questions, I will respond respectfully. Not to say he didn't before, but maybe I'm over reading that. But like, to me, that was like growth too, is like, okay, like, and he's like outwardly said, like, hey, if y'all still want to root, like, keep cheering us on if you want to, like, and he's shown like an understanding of fans and media, which is an extension of fans, in my opinion, about how and why we feel a way, and said y'all should feel that way. So like, it seems like the notion of getting mad at people for criticizing is kind of going away. We'll see how that is. And so that's what I've said too, is like, I guess we need to monitor as well. Like, maybe right now when he's like humbled, he's doing this, but like, my concern is like, when they figure it out, which obviously I want them to, is they get back winning and, make playoffs, whatever, it becomes like a fucking told you so. Like, y'all are tripping. Like, no, you can't do that, man. Like, because you don't know that. Like, right now, they're fucking like, shit, we're 0-3. Like, obviously on the outside, you put it together, confidence, which is, you should be. Yeah, they should be you should have that mindset of like forward thinking, but you can't now come back to fans and media. And then if and when you do turn things around, and I'm not saying he will, but I wouldn't be surprised. So that's something to note. But, I've seen a lot of things. And then, yeah, the other growth thing too is, I mentioned it earlier about him saying we're going to lean into the spread, the 2-minute offense. Like, yes, thank you. Like, although a lot of these things, everything I just laid out, like, you should have known sooner and done sooner, but like, beggars can't be choosers. Like, he's reacting pretty quickly in the quickest he has on 5-6 different things within a 3-week span. So he's adapting and adjusting. So now the biggest thing is Kaylee adapting and adjusting. And a lot of comments on here. Shout out Engineer, says what's up. And let's see. Yeah, both the Texans and the Eagles lost that trade. I agree. That's with CJ Garner-Johnson and Kenyon Green. And then Texan says, bro, you got to get your super chats up. You need to hit up YouTube and tell them stop playing. Yeah, man, that fucking pissed me off, dude. I don't know what it is. Like, I keep applying and they don't tell you why. They're like, read our manual. And it's got like a fucking encyclopedia. Like, it could be a million things. And so I'm just in the dark guessing. So I need to try and figure it out. So Darius Alders on Facebook. I don't understand how Kaylee thinks the offense is running is sustainable. It should be a totally different scheme when they play the Titans. No Rams element at all. Well, it's been like Patriots. But yeah, I agree. They need to fucking spread it out. All this talk about adapting and adjusting, adapting to your own personnel, adapting to your opponent. Talk about having a multitude of ways to attack a defense. Everything about our personnel says spread it out. Fuck all these condensed formations, bringing defenders into the box, guys blitzing and not picking it up. Spread it out. Now you have less people in the box, or if they do come in the box, they're blitzing. You can now throw a hot route. CJ, the guy that you should be building your offense around, is better in an up-tempo spread offense. We talked about it. Ohio State, that's how he was. 2-minute drill, he's elite. So that's number one. We have the receivers. We have Nico. We have Higgins. We have Hutch. We have Noel. We have Kirk. We got 5 guys. Woody Marks can play receiver. That's 6. So spread it out. Schultz, he's a big slot receiver is what he is. He's not really a tight end. And Schultz is frustrating as always. He looks slow. That play, when we settled for a field goal, complaining for a PI, he would have gotten it if he would have finished through the play. Like as soon as he got grabbed, he's like, stop. I'm like, ugh. But like if he would have like fought through contact and like showed the grab, they would have called it. Like he was just so, it's just like this mindset. Like another thing too. So I'm going to finish that thought, like spread it out. Everything in our O-line too. Like, gap scheme is good, but like when you have an O-line that's struggling, it's counterintuitive to what most people think. When you tell them spread it out, quick game, tempo, they're like, oh, well, you don't have the O-line for that. No, you do it because you don't have the O-line. So now you take the pressure off of them. You get back, and now if they get beat, you have quick answers. And you don't have to motion quite as bit because now you're getting to the line. And you also think too, okay, tempo, that means you're going to have quick 3 and outs. Like, no, like you tempo, you get to the line, and now all these worries we have about fucking lollygagging and getting to the line with 8-9 seconds. No, you're there with like 20, 30 seconds. You ever watch Peyton Manning or Drew Brees or Tom Brady? They're there for 20 seconds IDing the defense. And now you can run a hard count. You guys ever heard of a hard count? It's where the quarterback pretends to snap the ball really loud and the defense thinks they're going to snap it, and they either jump off sides. You ever heard of Aaron Rodgers? Or they at least show you the defense. They start to rotate, and then now you can see it, and now you can do an audible is where you change the play based off what you originally had because now you see what they're actually doing. So these are things you can do with tempo. That doesn't mean you have to run a play in 5 seconds. You can still drain the clock by doing that. Like, why would you not do this? And so that's the bow on that. I had another thought, which I'll get to. I kind of like my, my strat on here. Just kind of thoughts just emanate as they come. Sorry if it's not easy to consume, kind of all over the place here and there, but I feel like that's the way I do it best. It's more genuine, long form thoughts, get my full thought out. That's really why I have my own shows, because I get on shows. I love doing it. Other people's shows, but like, I just want to talk forever. Like I want to give my opinion, and like, I'm just going to hog the mic. But yeah, shout out everyone in the chat, IG, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X. And so I see all the comments again. I wish I could read them all. And then engineer says we burned so much money BS this offseason. Nick Nyman $4 million, CJ GJ $6 million. I think he might not. Zeitler was a $9 million free agent acquisition. Thank you. Kevin Zeitler was like perfect, a veteran, great interior journeyman guard who would come in right away at a cheap value and make a massive difference. But $9 million, nah, I'm a penny. He's penny pinching on that and then doing shit like that. Like, how does it make sense, dude? Come on, man. Because we don't believe in needs. Brandon Halam, part of that Panesul, who could pick 3 for Tunsil. I'm not sure what that was, but I'm trying to go through the comments and get good ones or not neglect anybody. So Young Costa on X, 3 TDs, and I'm partying like we won the Super Bowl, to be honest. Facts. Yeah, we've been in the red zone like 4 times, right? And we're like 1 of 4 or 2 for 4 or whatever it is. Worst third down offense in the league. What's the next cup? Stressins. Pet boys drinking red wine out of his Texans cup. This is got like a Yeti with like a Texans thing on it. No wine tonight for me. And man, I had another thought I was saying before I got on the tangent about tempo. Um, if someone remembers what it was, let me know. But I think I covered most of it. We're about at an hour, and I could still go through. I just been on a soapbox monologue. I might go through the timeline and show some videos. Basically, everything that I'm saying, I wrote in an article. If y'all want to check it out on my website at houstonstressens.com. So I enjoy the articles because I would think that people would enjoy it as a fan. I mean, y'all probably already see all the shit I post all the time, anyways. But the fact that I do constantly post film interviews, highlights, everything. I already have it all in my timeline. So now when I go back to write an article to recap a game or preview a game, all I have to do is go through my timeline and embed stuff that applies to what I'm saying. So I feel like it flows well. So like I can give you a point and then give you a clip to support it. And so basically a lot of stuff I said is on there. And I like, obviously I'm super in depth. I've been rambling to myself for an hour. So my articles are kind of like that too. Maybe I overdo it, but hey, I love the Texans. Yep, Ravens are beatable. We stressings, not blessings, says Darius Aldridge. Facts. Let's see. Keep going through. Play calling issue. I agree. Zach on YouTube. Do you think they will go more no huddle this week? Yep. They said they will. And so D'Amico has been saying things and doing them on this show with Vandermeer and Harris, but it's also like I'll see when I believe it. So I think I was deriving at Kaylee needing to adapt earlier, which they talk about that's what he does, so do it. Um, still going through. We got a bunch of comments. Appreciate y'all in the chat. Y'all are the best. Is popping off today. Alex Roman says if it's a close game or we lose this weekend, Nick Kelly better go home jobless. Yeah, I mean, if we lose, Kaylee might be done. And then engineer says, I'm not giving D'Amico credit for that because it feels like he's consistently behind the curve when it comes to the players, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Well, I mean, think about it. And so I guess that was something too is, I've learned always trust your gut. Like all this shit that I'm pointing out where I was skeptical of the way D'Amico addressed the O-line, and then I listened to their bullshit and bought in 100%, which it still may work. You're skeptical about hiring from within, Cole Popovich, I've heard great things and could still be the guy, but so far his unit's not doing great. So like you like, oh, why would you fire your O-line coach and then hire the same guy within? Like retaining your staff is questionable now too. Like on the offensive side of the ball, like, if you fired a guy because the offense sucked, then why would you only replace him and then only replace one position coach, but then replace that from within? And I'm not saying I disagree or not. I still think it can work, but like these are like the natural, rational thoughts that most fans had. Like, if you want change, then why are you keeping it all the same? I get the argument is continuity. You got a young quarterback, and maybe you could still carry over stuff. There's also the angle of, okay, these guys were in the building, so they know the problems from last year. But I mean, it wasn't like a hard reset. It was like a soft reset. So like, if you really had issues with that, then why would you do that? So you start to wonder, was that Kaylee who wanted to keep them? Was that because he's young and doesn't have a big network? Or was it D'Amico who kept them? Is that because he's too loyal, doesn't want to fire guys? He's still young, doesn't have a network. Like you start, now that we're 0-3, you start to question these things. And again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but you start to think, could that be a factor? Like, I think I was making this point earlier about position coaches. Like, you got to start looking at them. Like, if running backs continually over the years, now under two different OCs, are bad at blocking, is that on the running backs coach? Receivers, like I mentioned, and they did some of this last year too with Slowick. Like, a lot of the times we're talking about routes being the same place and play design, but a lot of it's on the receivers, either running their route at the wrong width or depth, or just getting jammed and not being physical enough or disciplined enough, or having awareness of the defense of where to be or where to settle in zones. Like, is that the receiver coach's fault? Like, you start to have to ask these questions, especially at 0-3. And I've seen a lot of not good from the receivers, like stuff that like pros should not be messing up on, whether it's week 1, 2, or 3 or not. Like, it's like basic shit, like, and so you start to ask those questions. But yeah, so I don't know if I finished that thought, but we'll keep moving. Engineer says, let's see, Jags fan here. Hold on, let's see. That's cool. 100 miles per hour on YouTube. Jags fan here. Seen you on Twitter. One of the few Texans fans that's actually cool. Appreciate that. Yeah. So I mean, I don't really troll or talk shit. Like I'll post like tongue in cheek videos of like, if it's like a funny video of the Jags doing something, I'll be like checking on the Jags or Colts. Like, but I'm not like some fans that are like real toxic. Um, and like I've been posting clips of Liam Cohen. So what I do too when I go through content, like I'll obviously watch all the Texans interviews and stuff, but like I'll go to that opposing team that we're about to play. So like here soon, I'll look at the Titans later this week to get an idea of what they're saying. You learn a lot by listening to both staffs. And so, with the Jags, I listened to them over the weekend and posted clips of them talking about our team. And you kind of get a sense of what they're saying in the building, what their game plan is. You can pick up on a lot of stuff. And then I'll do it again after the game. And then you get a lot of nuggets of what they saw from the game. And the Jags, Liam Cohen, sorry, my throat's been a little dry there for a minute. But Liam Cohen, he's a good coach, man. At least from what I hear, like as someone who watches a shit ton of interviews of our coaches, he's very intelligent. And I don't know if this is a bad thing for him as a coach, but he's very like, educational. Like he will tell you a lot. So I've really enjoyed watching his interviews, and I realized that you know very hypocritical of me, but and I'm probably biased too. But like I honestly like don't have the time to dive into the Jags hire and see how good of a coach he is and do all this background research on him and watch his interviews unless we're playing y'all. But I realized that I judged him off of the dumb clips that go viral, him saying Duval or whatever, and thinking, "Oh, that guy sucks. He's a goofball." Like, I think he's a pretty good coach. I mean, it's still early, but like, if I'm a Jags fan, like I like the hire, and like he has fire, like in the locker room, like talking shit, like cussing, like maybe some people, like maybe I'm cheesy too, maybe he's overdoing it, but um, the biggest thing is like his awareness, like him explaining the thing at the end of the game about whether they wanted to score or not when the Texans let them score, and he called it a Rolex situation, which means time. So like you know that means get down essentially, like we're burning clock. So like he is very insightful. So 100 miles per hour says, I've seen your comments about how Liam Cohen is super transparent in his pressers, and it's actually so cool to see the insight. Times have changed in Duval for sure. Yeah, so that's exactly what I said. Yeah, I mean, as a fan too, like, and it's for Texans fans, ours are not transparent at all. Like they're very close to the vest, especially with like injuries, which is very, very frustrating. Uh, but yeah, I mean, y'all be nice to them. What's y'all's opinion on the Colts? Man, I thought they're going to be one of the worst teams in the division, and they're fucking. Yeah, and I said too, like, if you would have told me before the season that the Texans would be 0-3 and have one of, if not the worst offense in the league, and the Colts would be 3-0, and Daniel Jones would be an MVP candidate, I would have thought you were fucking out of your mind. But hey, and so yes, that's what I was going to get at. That gets me back to a point that I had a while ago. I was talking about trusting your instincts. So you have all these thoughts where you do it. Like I've questioned a lot of things they've done, and then like BPA. Like I don't like BPA, and like oh no, BPA it's smart. But now it's like no, like I didn't like BPA. I didn't like the way they addressed the O line. I had questions about not turning. I didn't like the hire at OC. Like I mean, I didn't love it, but I fell in love with it quickly. But I wanted the spread, Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson. So there's a lot of instances where like my intuition, instinct, gut is here, and then I'm wrong on my guess just because they didn't do what I thought. Now I think that I'm wrong and they're right and buy into theirs. And it could be both, but I just keep talking, trying to get to my damn point. Yeah. So the other point, my other gut instinct was I didn't have a media or online presence at this time with the Texans, covering the Texans, whatever you want to call this. But when they were hiring the next head coach after Coley and Lovey, my philosophy was now we're getting a legit coach. Is I want an offensive minded head coach. And now, like, these questions that I had that I came around to D'Amico, seen it, hear it out, see it play out. I'm like, was I right? So some of those concerns are now seeing itself. Like, the reason I want an offensive minded head coach, again, all my thinking is just simple, deductive reasoning. NFL is an offensive league. Okay, yeah. So you need a good play caller. Okay, yeah. If you get an offensive head coach, he can call the plays. Okay, yeah. And he stays there forever. He doesn't have to keep hiring coordinators. He can just figure out defense. Those guys can flutter through. But at the very least, you have if you get a good hire at OC head coach, you now have every year a good offense. And even if you have bad defense, your offense can be good enough to overcome it. Also, that comes along with that, something that we've seen is your awareness of the game clock management is terrible. It's fucking terrible. And D'Amico is a defensive coach, so he's not seeing it from the offensive side where you're aggressive and know when to call timeouts and not to call timeouts and do this and do that. He's more of like, I'm just going to call a play and whatever, so it's everything's flipped on that lens, and there's pros and cons to both sides, but when it's 0-3, it's bad, and these things happen. It's magnified. D'Amico Ryans, no secret, has not been great at clock management. So I am seeing and thinking and hoping he is improving there. So that's definitely part of it. But and that's not me saying I don't believe in D'Amico. I do. He's the guy, and CJ's the guy. For me, the only person I'm questioning right now is Nick Caserio, and then from there, I might be questioning offensive position coaches if these issues continue. But I'm not even going that far. And honestly, Caserio, I'm just being more critical. It could still work out. I still like the guy. I still think he's smart. But like, if things get worse, you're the first one. I'm like, all right, bro, this is on you. But so I did come around to the defensive-minded head coach. There is stuff where a defensive-minded head coach is more of a leader, especially if it's a former player like D'Amico. Like, he's a big MFer. He commands respect. I've talked about that on here before. NFL room full of alphas. A lot of these times, like, you look at, it depends too. Like, most offensive coaches, and this is a generalization, and I'm kind of just thinking of Mike McDaniel, but like or like Bobby Sloak, you get guys that are good play callers, but they're kind of not as outwardly spoken, bigger, aggressive. Not that you need to be big, but I feel like it does help if you're like, Dan Campbell's offensive, but he's fucking jacked, and you respect him. But like Mike McDaniel, like the Dolphins, their biggest issues is he can't get a hold of that fucking locker room. And so D'Amico on the flip side can get to the whole locker room, and he does it the right way. So that's definitely a plus of that. But the way we play, the way we build our roster, the way we hire is all through a defensive-minded head coach. It's conservative as fuck. And that's why our games are so frustrating to watch. We all know the NFL is an offensive league, and you can still win defensively, but like, it just feels and looks different. Like that Rams game, we look at it as a terrible game. It was actually, depending on who you ask, was a great game. It was a defensive battle. And that's the kind of game D'Amico would like to play. And that's why we always see, him leaning on the defense against the Bucs, score the touchdown. Defense got to win it. And they fucking blew it, and he did that his first couple years and has worked out more often than not. But like, how many times have we seen us in a close game, more than anybody, come down the final minutes with our defense on the field last? And it works out here and there. But like, to me, think about the NFL offensive league. How often does the team that has the ball in their hands last win the game? Pretty fucking often. So like, that's something that's got to change. Like, you got to change that mindset of like, no, fuck that, dude. Like, it goes with that like close game mindset too. Like, we talked about this last week, and this has gotten worse with the record, but like, they've kind of gotten off of it and clarified, but like, it becomes an excuse. Like, every game's close, we were right there, and it's like an excuse to not improve, which, they're going in the film room and still critiquing win or lose. But like, the goal is not to just have a chance to win. The goal is to fucking stomp on somebody's fucking neck. The Detroit Lions. Look at the fucking Ravens game. They're in Baltimore, and they're aggressive as fuck, going for fourth downs, like calling crazy ass fucking plays. They're aggressive. They want to fucking stomp you out. They're not playing just to try and escape with the win. Like, that mindset has to fucking change. Like, dude, like, I get you have confidence in your defense, but like, obviously it's probably tough now, but like, build this offense up to where now you can have confidence in them for them to control the game, for them to be aggressive. And, another point off of that is I just thought of, I'm going to say it. The defense to me is still elite. The defense is still elite. They're like fifth in the league in points per game at 17 points per game. CD Gardner Johnson gave up 3 touchdowns, essentially, and 2 of them were in the red zone. So you could argue that 2 of those in the red zone could have been field goals and not touchdowns. That's 4 and 4. That's 8 points. And then the BTJ, that was a 3rd and 8. That play probably should have been stopped. They don't even score. So like that turns into 7. So you can take 7 off there. So that's 8 plus 7. That's 15 points. And so if you like back that out of the total that we've given up, 17 times 3, like we would be averaging like 12 and a half points per game. And that's obviously splitting hairs, but like that's one part of it. But then like the big part of it too is like this defense, if the offense was just even remotely close to halfway fucking competent, this defense would be even fucking better. They're on the fucking field all the time. The offense gets the ball in the, great field position, never fucking capitalizes because they're too conservative and, all that shit. Like this defense is still elite. Like, yes, there's moments. And the problem is too, is like we're losing these low scoring games and a lot of them are plays that are critical on the defense late in the game. So it sticks in our mind like, oh, defense sucks. But like, no, like most teams, like the Bills are playing like 40-30. The Ravens, like they're losing games crazy high. So that's a big part of it too. So not sure if I finished the whole thought there, but I apologize for that. And someone said, Cameron, we ain't scoring on the Titans defense. Man, that's crazy. We'll dive into it later this week. Texans still tipping on Fofos, tempo, facts. Let's go. But yeah. Oh, dude, this is crazy, dude. Y'all are going to hate me for this, but look at this. Look whose jersey that is. This is Cam Ward's game-worn UIW jersey where he started in college. Autographed by him. Is that nuts or what? That's where I played football at, dude. I followed his entire career. The kid's a fucking stud. We should still win. His supporting cast isn't great. His coaches are idiots. But he's dangerous. We struggle with mobile quarterbacks. So he's a mobile quarterback, got a fucking live arm, can make great throws. And so that's basically, Cam Ward. Isn't that crazy? I miss a bunch of comments, dude. If there's anything that y'all had questions on or like comments, all my DMs on everything are open. I'm most responsive on X and Instagram. I don't quite respond as often on TikTok and Facebook. But if there's ever anything on here that I don't get to, feel free to hit me up. And so I think I covered most of that. Let me, I think y'all are still rocking, huh? It's only 10:30. Shit, we're good. I guess I started a little early. No, I started at 9. Let me go to, let me minimize this window. So Instagram comments are still up there. Shout out IG if you're still tapped in, checking me out. But let's go. Let me go to profile. I'll go to my X. Let's see. I need to minimize this. I'm going to pull up my timeline on X. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pull up this article. It has all the videos in it too. So let me share my screen. And let's see here. Let's go to. So yeah, I mean, basically, I've covered most of this in a roundabout way, but like I said, I'll put a bunch of clips in here. So this was, infuriating to a bunch of fans. This is right after the game. And then D'Amico later clarified what he means by we're close, but here he is after the game.
The things we can clean up, right? Then we play winning football, then we'll have a chance to turn it around. But again, man, we're close. That's what it is. We're close, but close isn't good enough. So we got to pick it up and find a way to get a win.
And by the way, too, like if I didn't answer questions or you join in here and there, if you want to re-listen, you can re-listen on Spotify and or Apple or on YouTube. And also X. I usually pin it to my profile. So, there's, CJ wearing a Yankees cap to the game. I don't know how I feel about this topic. Like the Mariners one, it's like, okay, whatever. He wears this one. It's just amplified because we're 0-3 and lost to the Jags. And, he said today, he talked about it. I didn't post a clip because I don't even like getting into all this stuff. It's just, to me, it's just distraction and trivial, but he was asked about it today. He's like, I wasn't even aware that was a thing. Like, he didn't know people were mad about him wearing the hat. Like, it really is just like a fashion thing. But us diehard fans, you wear Mariners and Yankees hat. Like, I see, like, yeah, like I felt, kind of a minor little bit of some type of way when it happened in the moment because I was upset from the loss. But I also knew he's not doing it on purpose. I know some people look at it like, oh, he's trolling us. He wants out. Like, that's not what's going on, dude. It's just fashion. Like, I think we talked about it in here, but like, when I was in college, I wore a Brewers hat with their throwback logo with the glove with the M and the B for like a fucking year straight because I thought it was a cool hat. And I was an Astros fan, so. But if this keeps happening, it's like, all right, like eventually, I know you don't want to like change the way you live because of perception, but it's like, Anyways, he said like he's not gonna. It's not a big deal. Anyways, here's the clip. Of him talking about the game.
I thought we ran the ball well. I thought we somewhat threw it well. It's always better than what you think, but when you lose, of course, it's not good enough. So, there's the sun will rise up tomorrow, and we'll be able to go back to work. So that's a positive, and you got to just keep going forward. Everybody's gonna talk crazy like they've been doing, and have these analyses, and rightfully so. Like that's NFL. You give them an inch, they'll take a mile. So we got to be able to stay together, stick together, stay as a family, stay as a brotherhood, and try to get these things fixed because it's a long season. It's, sucks you start 0-3, but it can be flipped. So
yeah, so that's tough. Like, CJ just talks a lot, so like I don't think he always means things in ways that we perceive them, but like I can see there where as a fan you're like you take that personal where like he's acting like you're crazy and tripping. So that was like kind of the point. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. The point I made earlier about like D'Amico, you know, kind of being like that, and then potentially seeing him doing that if and when we do turn it around, being like, "Told y'all were tripping" type of thing. Like, you can't do that. Like, even if you're confident that's what's going to happen, like it's just like, and I know they don't care and they don't owe it to fans, but like you just don't like you don't portray yourself in that manner. Like, y'all are fucking idiots type of stuff. And I don't know that that's what he's doing here or trying to do here, but I can see from like the comment, like everyone's got their own analysis, but then he says rightfully so. And give him an inch, they take a mile. Like, I can see how people can take that, be like, all right, bro, like chill out. And like, yeah, you're mad too. And so it's just a tough topic because if you're the athlete or the coach, like you're the one getting criticized, so you take it personal. But hey, you're also the player in this position getting paid millions of dollars to do it. So like you can't really complain too much. And also too, like that's what fans are. Like, I guarantee you, other athletes, all athletes are fans of other teams and have some of the same thoughts for their favorite teams elsewhere. Like, oh, he fucking blew it, this and that. Like, I'm not saying they're upset with that, but anyways, it's just a weird dichotomy there. But I got all the clips here. Like a lot of stuff I talked about. I don't know if we need to go through all of them, but here's Liam Cohen talking about the toss. So first there was this, him in his presser, and I played it because you don't just ask a coach. Obviously, whenever in the NFL, there's a distinct advantage. If you win the toss, you can choose to receive or defer. And defer means you get to make the decision in the second half. And so if you defer, then that means that you will be kicking off to the other team first, and then you get to choose to. It's not automatic. You can still choose to go back on defense again, but obviously you don't want to do that. You would short yourself a possession. So, but you obviously you want to defer if you win and get the ball to start the second half. So then you have the quote unquote extra possession in the second half to try and win the game. And so it's like 80%. But Cohen in the first two games won both tosses and chose to receive because he wanted to start with his offense and score. And he did. He scored a touchdown and a field goal. And, they won the first game and should have won the second game. And this was something when he was at Tampa Bay, although he was only the offensive coordinator, they did quite a bit because they had confidence in their offense and they kind of like were being new and like bucking a trend and being new school and realizing, hey, we have a good offense. our defense may not be as good. If we go out and score early, we now get out to an early lead and affect the game that way. And they did it often and had great success doing it. So he was asked this question because of that. And I caught on to it and posted the clip. Here's him talking about it. But I framed it as, I don't know if y'all can hear that in the new window here. Let me see. Share this tab instead.
We elected to defer for kind of that reason, honestly. It was just to kind of get our defense out there and let them go start fast and affect the game. And those guys did that. Josh, the length, but it's just his strain and the way. I'm not taking anything away.
Yeah, so I mean, he specifically says we elected to defer because we wanted our defense out there. He's basically saying their offense sucks. And so we've had 3 straight games where we've lost the toss and the other team has deferred. Yes, obviously the first 2, you can say, yes, every team defers. But like the Jaguars, given the background I just gave you, showing that they will receive, he is based on my point is like our offense is not respected and it worked for him. They went 3 and out. And here's him in the locker room on their mic'd up on their YouTube showing it.
All right. Guys, if we win the toss, we're going to defer and put the defense on the ground. Start right off, get the defense out there, and shut them down right away.
Jags get there. The Jags are going to sack him inside the 10-yard line. It was a jailbreak.
Shut them down right away, right from the jump. Kick off, set the tone. Yes. Set the tone.
Firing downfield, and that ball's going to be picked off. Jordan Lewis picked up.
That makes me sick, dude. I mean, so yeah, that's what they were doing. They didn't respect their offense. Cameron Covamaker. I'm live every Wednesday at 9. I am sporadic here and there. I'm trying to go live more often, but I'm more of like a once a week fucking go crazy for a couple hours as opposed to like, every day for 30 minutes. I wish I could, but this works for me. I kind of like the long form. I have a hard time of just stopping, I wish I could do more. I'll try to do more. Bakari walk. But yeah, tell, friends, whoever in my Texans that, hey, I go live. I got podcasts. You can rewatch it. Follow me on all platforms at Texans Commenter and or Houston Stressins, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, whole 9 yards. Yeah, I agree. Bakari Walker will be right as far as being 0-4. Michael McDonald, sick. Yep. Yeah, that was a tough watch. Sorry, guys. Sorry. But yeah, anyways, if any of you want to check out, yeah, that was a tough fumble by Nico. And then, so people talk about, that's the routes being mushed up. And let me see, game clutching INT, Stroud. Yeah, so I kind of talked about, I thought Kirk was kind of rusty. I think hopefully he'll get better. I kind of break down all the stuff I talk about, like these plays. I break down all 22. Ursary, he had a black eye, dude. I wonder what happened. He probably just got beat up in the game, but I know people are speculating. Just keep going through. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, Ursary and Marks on that play got picked on. And then, Liam Cohen, like I talked about D'Amico doing 5 down linemen to start the game. Just trying to see if there's anything else in here that would be noteworthy. Let's see, Texans. Okay, so this was cool when we talked about Liam Cohen. So this is his answer about the end of the game when the Texans let them score.
Really, we should have, if we could have communicated to BT on the 2, where the 2 minutes left, right? They got 2 timeouts. We're at the minus 44. We have a run to pass check. You're not kind of expecting it to go big, if you will, with the play call. It does. If we could have stayed in there, which I don't expect BT to know that without any form of communication prior. If we could have stayed in there, you make them burn a timeout. Now it's a minute 42. They have 1 timeout. We are absolutely in what we call a Rolex situation. We get down there, a minute 42, 2 timeouts. That's not on anybody's chart a Rolex situation, not anywhere around the league. So they decided, I think, maybe off the heels of last week playing Tampa doing it and having success with it. The thing you look at is, let's say we hadn't been down there very often throughout the game. So you get down there. The worst thing that could occur is for us.
So he acknowledges, it was a debate whether Tampa actually let them score. He's like, yeah, they fucking let them score. Like, so he, from his perspective, and he used to be there, he probably talked to them. But so there's that. And he says, basically, D'Amico learned from that. So that's probably why he did. Now we're on the flip side.
To not score a touchdown. Not at all. The way that we were playing defensively, and you go and say, okay, if you try not to score, basically, is what you're going to do. You're going to say, all right, maybe we don't even.
I mean, we won't watch the whole thing, but he goes for 2.5 minutes on that, like in great detail. So it's pretty cool. And then I got clips on all that stuff. And here's Caserio talking about, he was asked about the drafting O lineman and receiver after day 2. Oh, you can't hear it. Hold on,
We need good football players. That's what we need.
There we go.
I mean, I've said that we need good football players. It doesn't matter the position that they play. So get them in the building and sort it out. Like, we need good football players. That's what we need. Like, the whole perception of, you need this position, you need that position. I mean, that's made up. Like, we don't approach it that way. So it doesn't really matter. And I'd say today was another good example of follow the grades. I'd say we kept coming back to, well, here were our grades on this player. Okay, well, all right. Well, if he's the best player,
maybe their grades suck. Who knows?
And he has the other qualities that we covet, then we pick the player. And
so the other part of it too is the qualities that we covet. Like, that's the swarm mentality, which is great. But like, if you're so fixated on that, you're probably passing certain players, or it's just
the competition's going to sort itself out. We're not going to control the competition. The players are. So, like, can we draft another receiver? I don't know. Sure, if he's the best player and he's graded accordingly. So it doesn't matter where they come from. So D'Amico said it. I've said it. Like, this whole concept of drafting for need, honest to God, I don't even know what it means. I mean, what does it mean? If someone could tell me that, I'd love to hear it. But we don't look at it that way. We need to keep drafting good people, good football players that are.
Honest to God, I don't even know what a need is. Like, come on, bro. Like, it's just arrogant, man.
We're going to enhance the overall culture of our building, and we're not going to stray from that.
And like, it's good for long term, but like, we're in win fucking now mode, bro. So I hope it works out, obviously. But like, you watch that and you're like, damn, like, okay, like maybe your thinking is a little flawed. So let's see. Might do a couple more. Yeah. So here is D'Amico.
Film, it's a little bit of both, right? It's me first and foremost understanding, like, what are you thinking?
This is him talking about meeting with CJ.
CJ going through the film, it's a little bit of both, right? It's me first and foremost understanding, like, what are you thinking on this play? Mm-hmm. Hey, what did you see? What are you thinking? And then once I kind of gain, an idea of what he's thinking, why he's thinking, then I try to explain to him what defenses are doing, like, or what this particular player is doing. How can you attack them better? Yeah. So it's a matter of just all-encompassing, like, how can I understand him? How can I help him defensively? How can I help him offensively well, conceptually, things that we can do? How can we deploy routes better?
So to me, this is probably fresh on his mind. I'm hoping this is a tea leaf. He literally says, how can we deploy routes better? That's a topic we've all talked about. Maybe they're going to fix the scheme of the routes. Like, so he is like, he realized last year, going into this year, he delegated too much and he can't fuck around with like just trusting who he hires at OC. Maybe he's regretting hiring Kaylee, but now he can kind of get his hands on it. Who knows how it works, but like, I'm feeling like he's more proactive in personnel and now, philosophy, saying run more 2 minutes. So he's like saying this and making it happen and then probably doing it. And then also, changing the route concept. So that's, it could be, tinfoil hat or, being crazy, but like, to me, like, that's a sliver of hope.
To give us better options. Yep. So We just talking ball.
Yeah. Yep.
And for however long it needs to go, we just sit in, we just talk ball.
Yeah.
And it's been really.
But that's good to hear. And I don't know if he did that last year. So, but here is on this one. This is the clip about him saying lean into 2-minute drill.
Coach, but how much of what CJ likes is taken into consideration when formulating a game plan offensively? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, when you any quarterback that plays, they're always going to have their favorites. You go through the game plan throughout the week, they're going to have their favorite plays that they like. So, and when you're calling it, you just want to make sure you're starting those plays and you kind of get those plays called as early as possible when those guys want it, because as us all, when it's something you like, you're going to probably perform it a little bit better. But as we see with the tempo and certain plays, like CJ really does a good job. The 2-minute, the tempo, that's where he operates really fast, decisive, making really, really nice plays. So we have to kind of lean into that more to put him in positions where he's playing quick, playing decisive.
We always talk.
Why didn't you hire an OC based off of that premise? Why didn't you do that? Like, why didn't you go, hey, this is what he's good at. I'm going to get an OC that can do what he's good at. Chip Kelly. I know he went for $6 million. Fucking paying $7 million. It's fucking worth it. Like, there's not a salary cap on coaches. Like, what are we doing? I mean, obviously, I know you can point to Chip Kelly and say he's not doing good now, but like, one, it's early. Two, that's a different personnel, different quarterback. He was at Ohio State after CJ, but he was there with Ryan Day. It would have been a natural. They would have been speaking the same language. The installation would have been great. Like, it was just a perfect fit. But now you're having a guy that's a New England, John Carroll, Rams guy, and you're trying to now on a fucking napkin do what CJ wants to do and like modify it within his bullshit system and terminology when you could have just had the whole thing fucking from the beginning. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. I'm glad to see progress on that. Go back to the article. I think that's, yeah, dude. So, I mean, this is what I said after the game. It's like, if I'm Nick Caley, like, I'm just going to show Stroud the fucking – here, let's see. He said, if I'm Nick Caley, this is on Sunday, I'm sitting down with CJ Stroud and watching the Georgia college football tape tomorrow. That game likely locked him in as a number 2 pick and showed everything that makes him special. A few things I'd highlight. Confidence. Remind him who he is. He carved up an elite defense on the biggest stage. Handling pressure. He was pressured constantly, just like in the NFL, and still delivered. No excuse not to fix the O-line, but in the meantime, this shows he can operate under duress. And believe it or not, in that game, he was under pressure all the time. And so it's kind of like what we're seeing now, but he still was able to operate because he was in a spread offense. Offensive identity. Ask CJ what he liked from that game and start building around it. Tempo, spread sets, stop with the condensed looks, please. Mix of quick game and better route concepts. And so, I acknowledge obviously personnel is different and Ohio State, this and there, but I mean, it's pretty common sense. But another thing too about spread and tempo is, there is such thing as rhythm and momentum for an offense. We have zero of that right now as an offense. To me, this offense, it's like a mental block. Like anytime they get something good going, they freak out. They're like, what the fuck's going on? And something bad happens. Like Nico had a drop out of nowhere. Like we get some momentum, get stuff going, boom, Nico drop. Or you get some momentum, get going, boom, pick, boom, fumble in the red zone, So they just it's just like this. They're just not used to they haven't gotten enough consistent flow to where they don't know what to fucking do when they start to get it. Like they freak. It's like this weird psychological thing. So, but tempo can help with that natural flow. And I feel like it also applies to quarterbacks. Like rhythm and flow matters for quarterbacks. Like if you get CJ now, tempo, sped up, line of scrimmage sooner, can read the defense, make a throw, boom, feeling good. Now I'm more confident. Let it rip here, let it rip there. And now the big thing too with that is instead of run to open the pass, up the middle, play action, ball. No, pass to open the run. You ever heard of that idea? Spread, tempo, quick game. Oh shit, they're killing us. They're cutting us, bleeding us to death with little short, quick passes. Let's back off. Okay, now you run the ball. Boom, dude. Am I an idiot? Come on. These are all things that I've been thinking. Shout out Cal. Let's see. Cal says, because everything is a negotiation with your GM. All right. Thanks for tuning in. McSchneebly, we are watching D'Amico grow into a bona fide head coach before our eyes. Him further understanding how to delegate the offensive side can be infuriating, but we are seeing progress. Agreed. So that's the big challenge again with the defensive minded head coach. Like, he's learning. So, this could be all for naught, but I do have some optimism in that regard. Yep, I agree with that. Pressure burst pipes. They need early success to calm down. I agree. So that's goes to momentum. You start out hot, you take the pressure off. Now you can kind of free flow. But yeah, I think that's pretty good for now. Only talked for an hour and 45, so hopefully I covered it all. But I guess there's a couple interviews here I can do. Your clips here. Let's see. Before we log off, share screen. All right, so here's CJ Stroud dealing with adversity in the past.
I learned a lot. Yeah, I was probably like, it was my first time starting in high school, my junior year. I was like 15 or 16. Yeah, it was tough, man. Like, the whole school hated us. Like, people were riding on the boards. Like, our football team's trash. Like, yeah, it sucked, but I think, like, it prepared me for, like, what's going on now. And that's why I just, I stay rooted and anchored into, the people who pour into me, who love me, and who I love. And I kind of just let the cards play where it's at. And I think for this team, like, I was talking to Kels, like, to Aaron's point, like, they were 2-6 last year, and everybody wrote them off. So that's what you give people an inch, they'll take a mile. And I think that's the goal, is, like, just keep it internal and keep our eyes set on our goals, whatever it looks like. It changes. Like, we went 3-0, it would look different. We went 1-2, it would look different. So every year's going to look different. So, yeah, in high school, it definitely was tough, but I think it's prepared me. College, same thing. We lost to Oregon my second start ever, and I sucked too. Everybody hated me again. So, like, I'm kind of just, like, it is what it is. And I just, just stay true to my process and my beliefs and my faith.
Yeah, so that is true. Like, last year we started hot and, like, sucked down the stretch and had a bad patch there. So, we could be starting slow and getting hot later. It's obviously hard to, like, believe these things when you're in this current situation and seeing what you're seeing. But, he was incorrect on the 2-6. They were 2-4 last year. The Rams finished 10-7. And then the year prior, they were 3-6 and also finished 10-7. So, obviously we're not the Rams, but it's just, obviously we're in the odds are stacked against us, but it's not impossible. But, and let's see, D'Amico. This is him talking with CJ again on our weekly meetings.
You meet with CJ every week. How would you assess where he is in terms of not just physically, but emotionally?
Yeah, meeting CJ this week, man, I feel like he's in a really great spot mentally, clear mind, understanding, like, I got to play better, right? He understands that, and that's the first step to making strides and getting better, is understanding and admitting, like, hey, I know I have to play better so the team can be better. Let's go. So I'm excited to see him press forward, go play better, excited to see everybody around him play better as well.
Yeah, so again, like, it's noticeable to me, like, D'Amico's demeanor, and almost a little alliteration there, D'Amico's demeanor on Monday and today, Wednesday, was great. Like, as far as mood, like, not agitated, irritated by media, especially given the circumstances. To me, it's good. Like, I know regardless, pressers, they have to do them. If they answer this way, they get criticized. If they answer the opposite way, they get criticized. If they appear this, it's because we analyze what we got. But I'm encouraged by his demeanor, and then CJ's demeanor today. I think he has been, somewhat down, obviously, because he's freaking getting interviewed right after losses. But he definitely seemed to be in good spirits today, again, given the circumstances. Like, he didn't seem as down. He seemed positive, upbeat. And something that D'Amico has talked about a ton when getting CJ is he knows that he's battle tested and built for adversity. Having played at Ohio State, like CJ alluded to in that video, dealing, like, as bad as our fans are, like, if you talk to Ohio State fans who, follow and kind of in my comments a little bit, like, this is nothing compared to what he's gone through at Columbus. So he's been built for this. Like, he's learned how to handle this, and that's a big part of it. Because if you're a young quarterback, and you start to tune into the noise, which again, criticism is, reasonable and justified at this moment, but you can really start to buy into all that stuff and negatively affect yourself and start to self-doubt yourself. But he's learned how to deal with that. And so D'Amico's called that out a lot and mentioned that when drafting him, that was a big part of it. And yeah, we'll get to the Titans. We had Nico. This was cool. So obviously I'll try and do it again, but L'Jarius Sneed, when talking about Nico, let me find that first. L'Jarius Sneed was asked about Nico, and here's his response.
Nico Collins this week. Who? Nico. Thank you.
He just said who a couple times, like he's acting like Nico's a scrub. And Nico, like the chillest dude in the world, had this response. He was letting it loose. He was cussing a little bit.
Can't take advantage of that.
If somebody doesn't know you, what should they know about you after Sunday?
They know? Shit, nah, my bad. Yeah, I'm a dog. You know what I'm saying? I'm just me. I don't say much. I just play. You know what I'm saying? You can talk all you want. I'm not hearing it. Just line that shit up.
Let's go, dude. You just woke up. You just poked the bear. Like, he's a gentle giant, but like obviously he can let it out if he needs to. But like, thank you, L'Jarius Sneed. That's the boost we needed. And then yeah, so here's CJ. Here's CJ talking about the release of CJ Gardner-Johnson. Many people saw this and are saying this means there's a disconnect between the players and the coaches, and they don't agree with the decision. From what I've heard, that's not true. Like, they probably miss him, but like, to me, this is just a respectful answer, being a leader and just being a good person and not talking bad about somebody. Here's CJ Stroud on the release of CJ Gardner-Johnson.
CJ Gardner-Johnson wasn't a good fit for this team.
I don't really think I felt like that or the team. I mean, I think they have their own reasons, Nick and D'Amico. And, I think as a team, we brought him in. And he was part of the locker room. And, everybody was, our whole team is close, Like, we all hang out with one another pretty much. It's sometimes, like, defense, offense, or DBs, quarterbacks, like whatever that would. I thought he did well with his DBs and everything. So it's not really, my position to speak on that. I like CD as a person. I think he's growing as a man. He's trying to find a relationship with God, which I think is dope. So yeah, I wish him nothing but the best. And I'm gonna always be here for him if he ever needs me. But yeah, I'm always gonna be a fan of him.
I thought that was a good answer. And then let's see. Let's see what we had. D'Amico on the same topic. I thought D'Amico handled this well. I mean, he come out off the bat, trying to squash it and, not give all the details, none of our business. Like, it's already pretty much out there through the media, all the reports we talked about. But here's him, like, getting out in front of it and the way he handled it. And again, too, like, I feel normally like he would be annoyed by these questions and be aggressive, but he kind of was like a good, respectful demeanor.
I know everyone saw the news where we released CD, just wish CD the best. Unfortunately, we just moved on, and for me, every decision I make is always in the best interest of our team. I felt it was the best decision for us to move forward, and so now we're here, and we're on to the Titans.
Why did you think it was in the best interest of the team?
Yeah, because it's my decision to move on. I know it's best for my team.
It's my decision. I know what's best for my team. So he said it assertively, but he wasn't like an a-hole about it. That was awesome.
Performance or something else? There's been a lot of news reports.
These are good questions by Cody and Landry, too.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into all the details of it. It was coming from me, the head coach. It's my team. It was the best for our team. And that's why I made the decision. So I'm not going into any further details on it.
That's awesome.
A trade partner, or did you get any interest from other teams?
No.
No interest from other teams on a trade.
How much better do you think this will make the team going forward with this move?
Today we had a really great practice getting started with the Titans.
And so then, there's a chance for him to like slight CJ, and he just, ignores it. So, I mean, he handled that really well. I thought that was great. But yeah, that's all I got, man. Brandon says Casario lost every trade to Howie Roseman and lost the Saquon bidding. Yeah, dude, that was crazy. And he says no wonder Howie keeps calling him. That's a good point. Good point. Yeah, he thinks he's, and obviously too, like volume, the more you freaking deal, the more you're going to get burned. Like maybe his antsiness is coming back to bite him, but that's all I got. Only 2 hours. We're good. Appreciate all you guys. Check out some of the merch. It's kind of hard to, promote stuff now because we're not doing good, but I think we'll make the playoffs still. I think we'll be fine. I think they'll get it going. This team's too good. It's just a matter of Nick Caley figuring it out, which, it's still early. I'm very down on him right now, but I'm not 100% out. I'm optimistic, not super optimistic, but I still think we can figure it out. First step is Titans, beat them, find a way to win, try to look good doing it, and take it from there. So appreciate you guys. Until